In timber, we look at timber products and we make some things out of timber. We look at all different types of timber, like softwoods and hardwoods, where they come from, how they're grown, how timber's manufactured and produced from tree to making it into some timber for us to use in the classroom. We also then look at how we can use different characteristics of the timber for different purposes, like joining them or colours and variations for different looks, and things like defects in timber or other purposes for the timber. So in Year 9, some of the projects we've been making this year is a toolbox. So we've started off this year with this nice toolbox. We get to make some rebate joints and cut them out with our hand tools. Most of Year 9 spent focusing on hand tools and getting our hand tool skills up to scratch. So things like chisels and mallets, tenon saws, tri-squares, all those sorts of things. But that's our first project at the moment. And then the students get to add some features on the inside. So they can add some racks for different tools. They can add holders and things on the outside if they want to use it for a different purpose, like fishing or storing some items at home. They can customise this and make it for whatever they want. And then so in Year 9, we move on to a keep safe box. So it's a box that we can keep our safe items in, something that's meant to look really good. And we can sit on the mantelpiece at home. So what we do in that, and this is an example of one that's a work in progress at the moment that they're working on. We make some dovetail joints, so we hand cut these just to work on our fine joinery and to show that we can use joins for aesthetics and for looks. So that's a nice hardwood timber that we utilise in Year 9, that's Tasmanian oak. And then we do something like this on the top and the bottom where we use another timber just to expose students to different timbers. This is a nice red Jarrah timber. And so this one's been joined together in the middle, and then they've added this edging and put the nice 45-degree corners. So that would be our base for that project. We could do a similar thing on top, or the students get the opportunity to make their own design choices, and they can alter the design and make a different top in a different way if they wish to. So once we've left Year 9 and we move towards Year 10, the purpose of Year 10 is to try and upskill the students, moving away from hand tools and getting them into processes that involve power tools. So what we do in Year 10 is we work firstly on joints, and we do a whole different range of joints and different examples using power tools. And then we come through, and for the whole of Year 10, after their joints, they work on cabinetry. So this is an example at the moment that a student's working on in Year 10. As you can see, they've come through and they've turned the legs on the lathe. They've done a couple of different designs. They've used some different timbers for the legs. They've made their frame for their bedside table. They still have to come through for the rest of the year, and they're going to make a drawer. They might add a shelf if they want to, and do their tabletop. If we just walk around here, this is an example of something that a Year 10 student would be able to produce by the end of Year 10. So you're looking at timber as a subject. Something like this is what you'd be able to make by the end of Year 10. So it's got a nice timber top on it, some different coloured timbers, just for some variation. We make our drawers, so all of our joints are cut out by routers and machines and jigs. And then we just add our faces, our handles. There's lots of different design choices you can make. So as you can see, these two are completely different, but that's the same project for Year 10 to use. So in terms of future skills and employability, as part of Timber, we do a lot of collaborative work with other students. So we're always working together on different projects and working together in the workshop to get all of our projects completed. We also look at doing communication skills, so you might have to do some presentations occasionally. We do a lot of folio work, so with our folios, all that we do in our folio is we just try and communicate the process we've gone through in the workshop. So it's not a matter of doing lots of theory work over here, but it's just documenting the process of building something. In terms of future employability and different pathways, if you're interested in any sort of trade skill, Timber's a great choice for that. It can lead on in Year 11 at school. You could go into continue doing timber, or you could move into construction. It also lends itself nicely if you're into metals as well. So if you wanted to choose metal and timber or electronics and timber, they all work very well together. So who should choose this subject? Anyone who enjoys making things and building things should choose this subject. If you also like designing things and how things go together and what they look like, it's a great subject to choose from. A lot of our students who do really well in timber are actually girls. So if you're a girl and you're not sure about timber, it's actually a really good choice, and there's lots of girls who do timber as well. So, in terms of frequently asked questions, a lot of the time we get asked how much practical work is there, how much theory. So generally in Year 9 we try and keep it with more practical, so we might do about 2/3 to 1/3, acknowledging that our theory just goes hand in hand with our practical skills, so we do actually need both and they work together.